All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Kruse Control. It is January 3rd, 2023. Can you believe it? Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And we're getting to the news. So here we go. Welcome to Kruse Control. Let's get to work. Everybody, welcome back to Kruse Control. It's a new year, it's a new show, it's a new Kruse Control. That's all I can say. We're going to go through a lot of things on this show, as we always do. We talk about TV, we talk about movie, we talk about streaming, we talk about rumors, predictions, opinion pieces, and how the entertainment industry is changing and how it affects you. And we're here again tonight. And this is kind of our debut episode, I guess. It's a new show, like I said. So it's like episode 1. We're starting over again. But I have with me my co-host for this evening, Miss Sabrina Vittori. Sabrina, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Brian.
Thanks for being here. How's your day been today?
So far, so good. First day back at work after a little bit of a break for the new year. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year. Sabrina is an actual actor, writer, producer, and she works at Hawk Anamorphic, where you get all your rental needs for all your lenses of any need for any film set. So check it out, everybody. Also joining us today for the first time here on Kruse Control is Mike Casey. Mike Casey, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Brian. It's really an honor. I mean that when I say that. It's a pleasure to meet you, Sabrina, too. Brian, I've known you for a long time. I'm really excited to have a discussion with you guys today.
Yeah, we're excited to actually have you in the program for the first time. Hopefully not the last time. As Kruse Control is going to be now, we're going to be changing guests from here and there. So maybe it won't be the same person every day. Maybe it'll be Sabrina and myself, or who knows. We also have a new person tomorrow named Jacob Rowland will be joining us, one of my buddies too. So to meet him tomorrow. But Mike is here. Mike, tell us about yourself a little bit. Like, what do you do? Why are you in Kruse Control? What's going on? Tell me.
Why am I on Kruse Control? That's a super good question. I work in a laboratory in Wisconsin. I worked very peripherally in the movie industry and TV industry about a decade ago. Definitely would have been in Captain America, but I chose to go to Wisconsin, or not Wisconsin, to go to Las Vegas with my in-laws instead. I still feel I didn't win any money. Like, it was maybe a good decision, maybe a bad decision. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. I'm a laboratorian these days.
And you also do voiceover work too, Mike, right?
I do voiceover work. I probably should have mentioned that before. Yeah, looking for gigs for more character work. Always doing audiobook stuff. Yeah, I got my trusty mic here. I got a little bit of a setup going, so we're always working on the studio.
So if you're looking for somebody out there watching Kruse Control tonight, Mike's ready.
Oh yeah, please. You got jobs. I'm here.
But thank you for being here. We're going to dive right into it as we always do. There's a lot to talk about in the news today. Just some things that have come, we've been talking about for the past couple of days. The thing is, like, we've been off for so long and we've been starting over here at this show. So, we used to do like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but let's jump into our first subject. Okay, here we go. So our first subject tonight is about Chelsea Handler. So Chelsea Handler actually is saying that she might be going back to the late night show, do her own talk show again. She's been actually, she's been gone for a while, but now with Trevor Noah stepping down, she thought this might be a great opportunity for her to step up and do some more. Sabrina, you see this actually? I don't know if you can actually see this or not.
I can. While appearing on the latest episode of The Daily Beast, the Last Laugh podcast, the comedian says she's very seriously pitching herself to take over the late night gig, which Trevor Noah officially bowed out of last month. As soon as Trevor Noah stepped down from The Daily Show and they were saying they needed guest host, I was like, yeah, let's go. I'll go do that. And it's a perfect job for me. That's a great gig, she told Matt Wilson. We're definitely going to have conversations about that for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, I heard this, and I think she's hilarious. I think she's really funny. When she takes over for Jimmy Fallon, or not Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. When she takes over for Jimmy Kimmel every once in a while, all of her monologues are hilarious, and she's also a stand-up comedian, which only helps for that because, of course, she's comfortable on stage. She's comfortable in front of people. She knows how to crack a joke. She knows how to have a good time. And that energy, that raw energy really feeds into it. So the idea of her taking over for Trevor Noah, I think, is a good idea. I thought it was very fascinating. I'm like, oh, this could be a great fit, especially because the Daily Show used to be very comedic, and I feel like Trevor Noah's kind of gone away from that. He still has the comedy, but I feel like she might give a breath of fresh air to this. Sabrina, you hear about this. What do you think about it? Are you excited about her going back maybe to late night, or do you think this is a bad idea?
I love Chelsea Handler, honestly. I used to watch Chelsea lately when she had that show all the time. I think she's hilarious. She's smart. She is up on current events. She has like the ability to surround herself with the right people. She always had great panels on Chelsea lately. I know that's not the same exact format that she would have on the Daily Show, but I think it would be a really good fit for her. And I think it would be nice to see a woman, have a late night talk show. And I think that it would put a different perspective on things. And I like Trevor Noah a lot. It's a very different show than it was with Jon Stewart. And I think that if Chelsea took over, it would be a very different show than it is with Trevor Noah. But I think that's just the evolution of things. And I think it would be amazing. I would watch it all the time. I watch Trevor Noah when YouTube forces me to, but I would watch Chelsea on purpose all the time.
Happens all the time. I swear when I'm on my YouTube, it just like pops up like Trevor Noah again. And you walk away from the TV.
Some like thing that he like they pay for.
I stopped following him and everything. I thought that would stop it. I mean, I don't mind him at all, but I'm just saying it was like every time we leave the room, he's back on talking about something. I thought it was just kind of hilarious that it's like the go-to.
I think you guys bring up a really important point that the format in general is changing in terms of the late night geography of TV. Like it used to be kind of a time slot that you would check in with. I mean, everybody had their go-tos like Conan, or I'm old enough to remember like when Craig Kilborn was rocking the Daily Show. I'm like, who's this Jon Stewart guy? Like he sucks, whatever. Thankfully I'm wise. I was wise enough to eat my words on that after a couple of weeks, and I saw, oh wow, he's changing this into a very relevant news platform. Jon Stewart really brought us news parody in a way that at least our generation, the three of us, hadn't seen before. So regarding Chelsea Handler, I don't think I've ever been particularly part of her demographic. I do agree that it'd be great to see more women's voices, more diversity in late night in general. But Chelsea's brand, as she has a certain aggressive abrasiveness that she likes to go for. So I was a little bit skeptical to begin with when I saw the link that Brian sent to me. But when I read the Hollywood Reporter article, she seems incredibly sincere about wanting to really explore the format, being really happy with the opportunities that she's had in late night. And I think the point I wanted to bring up is we saw Colbert shift from the Colbert Report, which was super goofy, super just satirical, ironic, and into a more mainstream format. I think we could see a similar shift with Chelsea Handler going from her more aggressive, abrasive style to an opportunity where she has maybe more of a social kind of platform.
Yeah, I agree with you. It could be a great thing for her opportunity for her to change her voice a little bit too and actually grow. And the thing is too, her being a comedian, like I said before, and stepping away from the stage might be a bad thing though for her career too. Or maybe it's a great thing. Look at Jimmy Kimmel. It just changed his whole life. Do you think, Mike, that'd be a good thing though? Do you think that it would take away from her career? Do you think that it would be something that she would regret because she loves being on stage?
It sounds like she's a workaholic, and as much as it would be for you and I to accept something like a late night show, like the amount of crazy work that'd be, I think for her, if she focused on that would be really pulling back a lot with what she can do with the amount of energy she is capable of putting out. But it sounds like she's at the time in her life where she's done that output. She's put tentacles in every piece of media that she can. She's had her presence. She's had her face out there. And I think she can maybe take some more time for herself and her personal pursuits. Like, I have no idea what her family situation is, what her hobbies are, but it sounds like she wants to put more time into that.
Yeah,
I think her hobbies include a lot of vodka.
I think so too. I think there's a lot of drinking and just the fact that she's a comedian is just amazing for this whole opportunity. And I really do think that the Daily Show could use this kind of update and different change. And her energy could really make this a different program, like we're saying. And I'm down for it.
She's
we'll see what
very
happens.
compelling to watch. Like she's very compelling. She's very funny. She's very quick-witted, which you really do need for that type of a platform. And like, when Jimmy Kimmel takes off for like 2 months in the summertime to like hang out with his family, which, good for him. And I'm glad that they let him do that. But he has a series of guest hosts and I never watch because it's never good. Like it's never good. But she hosted for a week and I watched every single day. She was hilarious. I enjoyed it. She was fun. She was good with the guests. Her monologues were on point. She had good chemistry with Guillermo. I mean, I know Guillermo's not on the Daily Show, but I'm sure like she'll, adapt to that surrounding as well. And I do think she's going to guest host there first because there are a series of guest hosts that are going to be or are currently doing the Daily Show or are going to be. I'm not really sure if he's actually stepped away yet. But there are a list of guest hosts that are going to come in and she will be one of them. And I guess they'll see if it's a good fit, but I'm all for it.
And Guillermo and her are taking shots and stuff too of tequila. She's like, give me that good stuff, Guillermo.
If having a late night show gig means that you don't have to start your day until 2 p.m., she can get up a lot of shenanigans with that kind of a job perk.
That's a win.
Mm-hmm. It's really true. What does everybody else think out there? What do you think about this, everybody? Do you enjoy this? Think this is a good idea for her career? Do you think that maybe she just stay to the stage and this won't be good? Or do you think this is a great opportunity for the show? Because I think it is. I think it's going to be a great thing that could go really well for the show, change it up a little bit, give it a different voice, give it a different feeling, and maybe be something great for her career too. I don't know. We'll see. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think. We're going to move on to our next subject here, which I heard this today, and I started laughing a little bit because I'm like, National Treasure 3. No, okay. All right. So I liked the first one a lot. The second one was cool, but it was going downhill a little bit. Then I watched this show. There's a show on Disney Plus right now, and I'm like, I think they need to stop. But maybe because of that, they're like, well, maybe we should bring the OG people back and try to fix this. But this is actually something that happened today. They announced, and actually Jerry Bruckheimer was talking about it.
Jerry Bruckheimer notes that he is working on another National Treasure. When asked if Nicolas Cage would return for National Treasure 3, he offers, let's hope. We're working on a script right now. Hopefully he likes it. But I think it's really good, so hopefully we'll get it to him shortly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're going to do it, you're going to do a movie actually, like theatrical version, you got to bring Nick Cage back. And like, come on, what's he doing? Honestly, he'll do anything. I feel like give him $20 to be on the screen. Like he needs to pay for those dinosaur bones. I love Nick Cage. I'm just saying.
What is wrong with you? He is awesome.
He's awesome. I'm just saying he's like everywhere. So like, why would he not?
Severely underrated, by the way.
I love Nick Cage. Yeah, I mean, honestly.
Hey, Jacob, I see you. He'll watch anything with Jacob. Nick
Cage. I love him. Sabrina, what do you think about this?
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I really enjoyed the first two movies. I mean, I wouldn't like be sprinting to the theater or anything, but if they got him to come back, I would absolutely see it. I also like Diane Kruger. I thought she was really good. I think they're fun movies. It's kind of like the Night at the Museum situation. Like, they're just solid movies. And I would totally go watch another one if they made another one, even though I don't care for Ben Stiller. I do care for Nick Cage, and if he did come back, which I hope he does, I would absolutely watch it. I'm not really sure about the series. Not too interested in that. I know that that who's the guy that plays what's his name?
Justin Bartha.
Yes, he's in the series. I'm sure he would come back for the movie, but I think they've been trying to get this movie off the ground for a while. Oh, really? Yeah, I guess you kind of fit his.
Yeah, you got any stories about Justin Bartha, Brian? Sorry, I'm calling you out.
I'm gonna tell you one thing about Justin Bartha. So, not to cut you off, Sabrina.
Oh, you're fine. Go.
So I worked on a show. It was called The Station. It was a pilot actually with John Goodman and Justin Bartha. It was a CIA undercover in South Central America or something. It was a weird concept. Ben Stiller actually.
South Central America.
It was something like that. But Ben Stiller was actually the creator of it and the executive producer. He was on set every day. And I know Sabrina, that way, doesn't like him that much. He was very nice to me. But Justin Bartha went. Justin Bartha went to high school with one of my friends back at Michigan State. Well, his brother, Ben. Mike, you don't remember Ben? Mm-hmm. So one of our buddies, Ben, like his brother went to high school with him, and he said, tell Justin I said hi, because he saw him all the time in school. And I went up to him like I'm working for him, like, hey, my buddy Ben says hi. I say Ben Panic, and he goes, oh, him. He walks off, you know? And I was like, all right. And then like, but his communication was really weird in that whole thing. He was very to himself. He'd be like, thank you for helping me.
Oh my God.
That's what he was like every day. And I was just like, and I've worked for other people that have been really great. And it was just, you know, I'm not going to try to slam him. Maybe he's in his element, but it was just very awkward.
You're throwing shade pretty hard right now,
I'm
bro.
I'm throwing a little shade.
Not as much shade as I'm throwing at Ben Stiller.
Yeah, I'm throwing a little shade. You got to throw a little shade. But yeah, but he's back for the series. So he's working. Good for him. I mean, you know, it's great. He came back for it. But that series, I started watching that series. I watched the first episode. I got through like 25 minutes and I turned that shit off. That's what I say.
I wanted to, I mean, speaking of Nick Cage, he's just got appeal that crosses all boundaries. Like, he appeals to the parts of me that love sincere, like, really emotional acting. He appeals to the parts of me that just, like, are just, like, absurd, comedic stuff, or just, like, balls to the wall craziness. Like, he's a guy that loves to act. He loves to take all different kinds of roles. I don't know what his financial situation is, but he's a guy that likes to work. I don't think anybody is going to tell you otherwise. And I think that we can talk about Nicolas Cage all day long, and I would love to do that. But also, I did want to check in with you first about that series. Is there a, because National Treasure doesn't work without that incredible charisma of the leading man that's tilting the energy of the series forward, right? Like, yeah. So is that present in the show at all?
There is a leading female. She's much younger, and the way they set it up is she's trying to get one last MacGuffin, pretty much, that's out there. And Harvey Keitel's in it, and he's like pretty much in the show. He's on his deathbed, and he is like, someone needs to know about this and needs to find this, and I have to give you this before I die, pretty much. And he's like losing his mind. He has dementia. He does a phenomenal job, because he always does. And he's kind of pawning off for her, for this new generation, to kind of look for this new treasure.
So and it sounds like it's gonna be arced over the whole series. Like, they're not doing episodic payoff kind of thing at all.
No, it seems like it's one big arc for the whole season. But I mean, I don't know. I watched the first half hour and I got bored and turned it off. I'll give it another shot, because I do love this show. I love the movies, so I'll give it another shot. And I was surprised Nick Cage wasn't back for that from the get-go. Because I'm like, how do you do it without Nick Cage? But Justin Bartha, at least is one part. Then maybe it'll spiral into a movie if Bruckheimer actually has an idea for this. It makes sense that you would try to connect.
They said there's a script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if Bruckheimer's got a script, then like that's pretty dang serious, right?
There's an IMDb page for it.
So whatever. Does that mean anything?
IMDb is.
It's a start.
No, I have no idea. I've never seen it.
It's a start. Like, usually gets something.
Internet Movie Database. It's like the Bible for like anything that goes on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'm teasing you, Sabrina. I just wasn't sure. I don't know what it takes
now
to
you're gonna be
get
a wise ass? We're just meeting and you're gonna be a wise ass to me? You don't even give me a heads up?
I'm sorry. I know this is the first time that we're meeting, Sabrina. So Moose may not have warned you, although he's probably worse than me. So I'm sure you can deal with it.
And in case you're wondering, my nickname growing up was Moose. So if you ever
did I just call you Moose?
That's why he's saying.
Sure
I was going to
He's
try
one of the
not
last
to.
people that still call me that, actually. But now maybe everybody will again. Who knows? You know, that's how that goes.
I vote no.
But overall though, I think I'm excited about a new National Treasure. I'd watch it if Nick Cage is involved. Come on, I watched that Nick Cage movie where he's playing himself. That was pretty good. It was bad parts too, but he was still fun. It was still fun with him.
Great.
He's
awesome. Hilarious. Like you
wrong.
said, Mike, he could play everything. He does like mega like action stuff. He does like super dramatic stuff. He does funny stuff. I mean, like going way back like to Raising Arizona. Like, he is just on point all the time. I know people give him a hard time, but I think he's great. Adaptation
is that's my favorite movie of all time, and he is hysterical in that movie. I watched Leaving Las Vegas too.
Recently, that movie Pig.
So good. I haven't seen that. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
It's
the other.
It's really
anybody with snake eyes,
acting.
come on. Con Air, you can't go wrong. The Rock, there's so many great movies.
Con Air, come on.
You can't go wrong.
So that accent, like, it cracks me up on so many levels. Let me mention this, Moose, because I sense that you may be wanting to move along in your topics.
I'm getting there.
The day before yesterday, I watched, I wasn't intending to do this, but I had a whole day off, so I was relaxing. I threw on Indiana Jones 1, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I threw on Indiana Jones 3. where he reconnects with his dad. I put on 5. It was getting late in the evening, but I was just feeling that it's just those really nice, well-paced scripts like that have action moments. Like that's all that industrial light and magic effects, like where you just have light, breezy family stuff. It doesn't like there's intense moments, like a little bit scary, like so the kids don't feel like you're talking down to them. And I think National Treasure 3, if that came out and Bruckheimer really does have a script that he's confident in, like that's a whole, like we always need more of that. And the other thing that I'm hoping for is I saw Brendan Fraser in Darren Aronofsky's The Whale last weekend too.
Did you like that? I haven't seen it yet.
I'm a massive Aronofsky fan, huge. The scale is a little bit smaller than what Aronofsky usually works with, but he's telling a very human story that in the way that he always kind of does. And I think this one's a little bit less esoteric, a little bit easier to kind of picture on what the views, what the lessons he might be working with are. But what I wanted to say is, if Brendan Fraser, now that he's getting some more visibility, let's bring the frickin' Mummy back, man. Like, we need more of these adventure movies.
They gave the Mummy to Tom Cruise, though.
Yeah, but it didn't do well, though. The thing is, it just didn't do well. It just wasn't right. They were trying to revamp the whole universe, and he's been talking about that, actually. Brendan's been talking about it because, it comes up a lot. They're talking about the Mummy. That's one of his biggest franchises. I think they could do it. He could do it, but also he's at a different point in his life. What's he going to be training his son, maybe? They had his son in the third one, and it didn't go too well. So, I don't know. I want to say another topic about The Whale, though. They're originally going to shoot The Whale, and Tom Ford was going to direct it. And take a guess who's going to play The Whale. He's a late talk show host.
Corden. Yeah, I saw that.
Corden was going to play it.
Yeah. No way. That shit never would have flown, man. That would not have happened.
That's who Tom Ford wanted, and that was the idea. But, of course, and Corden said, too, he goes, I don't think I would have been right for it now that The Whale is actually out. And there was a number of years back now, so he'd been much younger during it, too. So
that would be a hard no for me.
Aronofsky's like the man for a movie like that. I feel like he's the perfect person to do a character study like that, too. And he's also bringing the best out of a lot of... Look at those movies where he brings the best out of these actors that don't have those opportunities. Look at The Wrestler. Look what he did with Mickey Rourke, what he pulled out of him, and that raw energy and that raw performance. Like, he does it great with his actors. He brings performance out.
How about The Fountain? Hugh... What's his last name?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. I mean, that was a massive underrated film. Like, if you go back and watch that, like this character's journey, like, is just gripping and like incredibly sad. Like, the scope of the guy's vision is nuts. So to hear somebody like James Corden, like, the internet shits on him worse than anybody else that I've ever seen. I don't watch his show. I don't watch his show, so I've never really followed him. But people seem to say that he's like.
Well, it's because
on Reddit, they say he's the worst human in the universe.
I know it's because he wasn't tipping right or something like that. I guess he shit over some server, and then he just poshed over it, and then he ended up having to go back because they banned him from this restaurant for life, which was one of his favorite restaurants. He did this big apology and stuff, but apparently they say that he's. I mean, it's all hearsay. That he's
cover your ass, Brian. There you go.
A jackass, but that's just hearsay. Anyways, everybody, we got to move on. We got to say we love Nick Cage. If he gets an opportunity to do this again, let's let him do it because we'd love to see some more of National Treasure with Nick Cage. Maybe this series is actually pretty good. Honestly, I probably should have given it more time, but it was one of those things where I was looking for something, I didn't get it right away, and I said moving on. So. What do you guys everybody think out there? If you guys like it, let us know. If you have any comments about this, if you want to see a National Treasure 3 with Nick Cage, leave some comments, and we'll talk about it later with you. All right, we got to move on. We're going to move on to, we'll talk about Daredevil, because this is something that came into the news when Charlie Cox has been talking about Daredevil. And before I get into what he actually said, way back when he first got rehired as Daredevil, he said, it's a different Daredevil. He goes, it's not the same guy. Yeah, he may look the same. Yeah, his costume's very similar, but he's not really the same guy. But then playing William Fisk, I mean, you're hearing that what's his name? I'm going blank. Who plays William Fisk? D'Onofrio. Yeah, D'Onofrio. D'Onofrio says it's the same Fisk, and he's like, no, it's the same universe. It's just been after the blip. Well, now after they started shooting, they're starting to shoot Daredevil And this is what Charlie Cox has to say about the character.
I don't think it's a different character. I just think it's maybe a different period of his life. I don't think my interpretation will change. They hired the same actor. We're saying this is a whole new era or variant. I haven't read the script, so I don't know, but it's like part of the multiverse.
Yeah, it's funny that it just changed now. But the thing is, they were saying before that it's the same characters. It's the same. They're recasting. They're not recasting. They're keeping the same people. Yeah, they're tweaking little things to make it fit into the Disney universe, as opposed to back on the Netflix universe they used to be involved with. But the character is very similar. But there are a lot of differences too. When you watch She-Hulk, like I don't know, Mike, have you seen She-Hulk?
Yeah, I caught most of them, and I was cooking in the background. Well, the last 3 episodes where everything gets all crazy meta, which of course I appreciate, and just getting to see more Daredevil. Like the original Netflix series was terrific, and I think he's a very different hero than anybody else in the Marvel universe, and I think you can tell different stories with him. So I don't think that they would throw that opportunity away.
But did you see him in the She-Hulk episodes? Actually, his performance and how he was.
Not that I can remember, like a little bit.
Yeah, because he comes in there, and spoiler alert if you haven't watched She-Hulk, but he comes in and he's like the love interest to She-Hulk, pretty much. He even does the Daredevil walk of shame where he's carrying his boots and he's walking out of her house, walking home after they hook up. So there's a little bit more comedy there. Yes, he does kick ass like he did in the other show. They have like a whole hallway scene, which I think was a nod to the Netflix show, like him kicking some ass in the hallway. Kind of like he had that one take where they're pulling back and he's kicking people's ass and going in different rooms and stuff. So they tried to recreate that for it, but he's very different in a lot of ways. I'm gonna go to Sabrina about this because I know she saw him. Sabrina, do you think that what he's saying is true? Do you think that he is the same Daredevil, or do you think they have changed it quite a bit where it might be muddled a little bit, where he might not actually be the exact same character?
I mean, honestly, if they're hiring all the same actors, I feel like it's going to be the same character to an extent. I think they have to tone down the violence because the Netflix show is super violent, and there was a lot of crazy ass kicking, bloodshed, like straight up murder. And I don't think Disney Plus is really going to support that type of thing because it's their whole Marvel situation is, like geared towards a younger audience. So I don't think that they're going to allow that shit that Netflix allowed. So I think that's going to be part of the changes. The other interesting thing is that they ordered 18 episodes.
I know, big count.
Like most of those Marvel shows were 6 episodes. That She-Hulk I think was 9 episodes, but they were half hours. The She-Hulk, so it was short. But I think that his character was different in She-Hulk because that was the tone of the show. Like it was a funny comedy where she breaks the fourth wall, and it's very lighthearted, and all that. It was that type of format. So for him to go in and play like the brooding, quiet, murderer that he plays in the Netflix show would not work. Yeah. So they had a little bit more. Plus, even if he was that same exact person, if he was with someone like her who is very off the cuff and very mouthy and stuff, he would have to interact with her in some way, shape, or form. So that her lightheartedness could affect him in that way, where it's believable to me that he's even the same person. So I just think they're just going to make it a little bit more family friendly. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be a different character.
Yeah, and Jacob, as you just we had a comment from Jacob in the social posts, and yeah, Jacob, if you watch it though, he doesn't come into like the last 2 episodes or something like that, so it's not like he's in the whole show. They kind of showed him in a bunch of ads, and even though he wasn't really in it, they show like his helmet in one episode, like, oh, we're hinting at it, and they get to him later on without giving too much away, because you're probably gonna have a little bit of spoiler stuff here. But his performance was still great, and it's like it was fun. It was a little bit more lighthearted, but you could tell that he was still playing it the same way, kind of like in Spider-Man: No Way Home. It was still kind of there. And so when
I feel like in No Way Home, he was much more like the Netflix character.
He was much more. Yeah,
he was in She-Hulk for sure.
Yeah, I'm a very good lawyer. Like stuff like that. Like his tone was like so well, like spot on for that. And it's interesting to see, like, okay, you got D'Onofrio back, you got Charlie Cox back.
I love.
Are you gonna get Foggy back? Are you gonna get Karen back? Like, are you gonna have the same cast, or is it just gonna be them? They still haven't confirmed. I mean, they have 18 episodes, And they're saying this might be after the blip. That was a whole thing going on. So maybe they disappeared and came back, and now that's why things are different. Maybe they're not in the same points in their life. We'll have to wait and see when the actual show comes out. But I had a feeling it was the same character. D'Onofrio said off the bat, when D'Onofrio did Hawkeye, he was in Hawkeye. If you haven't seen Hawkeye out there, everybody, D'Onofrio comes back as Kingpin in that, and he has the same, the same suit. He has the same stature. He does kick a lot more ass. And D'Onofrio says, "Oh no, my character always kicked that much ass." But he's like flying through the air like Superman, and like doing super punches, like bam, like shit like that. And to me, I'm like, he just seems so much stronger. I'm like, that's not the same character. D'Onofrio's like, yeah, same character, guys. So I think they're just tweaking it, like Sabrina said. They have to tweak it a little bit. You have to make it a little
Kingpin,
different.
man. Kingpin's out there kicking ass. Sabrina, I think you make a strong point with the 18 episodes. Like, I think that's really exciting. Charlie Cox strikes me as an incredibly thoughtful actor. Like, I really enjoy his performance as well. And that I do think that 18 episodes is very suggestive that they are turning a corner just in terms of maybe stretching out the stories, like as a legal procedural show. Which would make sense, like in the Marvel universe, just trying to expand the kinds of stories that it can tell. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something that's a little bit more episodic payoffs, but then with 2 or 3 grander arcs, and that might be one of the ways that you see. Okay, well, it is a different Daredevil because we're seeing a different side of his life, really, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if She-Hulk's going to pop up.
I have a feeling she will.
Crossover. Keep bringing me crossovers all day long. I'm here for it.
I mean, the way they let it up, they set everything up so it's like, oh, is she going to maybe come back to him? Is he going to come back to her? Like the fact that he came back in the last episode, spoiler, was kind of setting it more up that there might be something in the future. And I feel like Marvel is trying to do that more and more. Like, why not? Like, cross it over. This is a new phase.
Well, it's smart. It's like if you like one show, then you're like, wait a minute, oh, who's this Daredevil guy? Now I'm going to go watch Daredevil because I liked him in She-Hulk. And like it's they're building, and also with the multiverse, literally anything goes now. But for anyone who watched one thing and didn't watch another thing, that opens the door for them to watch all of their other stuff. So it's really a smart move by Marvel. You can't fault them for it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about Daredevil. When I heard it was 18 episodes too, I was like, bring it on.
I know, that's crazy for Disney+.
Bring it on. Well, that just shows you how much faith they have in it and how much they know that the original show was so well done and these characters and their performance was so phenomenal that, it's
and
easy
also,
to just do
all
it.
These Marvel shows are so successful for them.
Yeah.
All of them.
And they should be longer, their shows. They should be longer. Moon Knight was too short. I mean,
Moon Knight was great.
Yeah, but it was too short,
longer,
I think.
Though.
I wish it was longer. And Oscar Isaac brought that shit,
He's
like,
so
you
good.
You never know when you're putting in an order for the show, though, right? Like we've seen that pullback in the number of episodes, and I guess it's more like the British model. If people want more of a character, then they'll demand it. Like, we're just, and it's the same thing with Chelsea lately. Like the way that we view TV is different. We're just not tied to what's being broadcast on the waves anymore. So we don't need to do stuff on other people's time. So we can just explore these different, like I watched Star Trek Next Generation or whatever, and there's so much freaking filler in there. Like, I love Star Trek, but there's a lot of filler just because that's the way that the format was demanded. So there are shows like Moon Knight, like, you could have told 4 more episodes of stories, 5 more episodes of stories because it was a really believable world. But I don't know that they the people that are writing the checks have that level of confidence off the bat, or what it takes to get that bigger check. Either way,
Yeah, especially for a show that's so in a character that's not that well known.
Totally.
And you have a great actor, of course, but I mean, Moon Knight in comparison to like Captain America or Iron Man, you know what I mean? I didn't really know what Moon Knight was until this happened. I was like, and I started doing a bunch of research, and I'm like, oh, this is a cool character. He's kind of, but there's adaptations of him, like one version is very much like Batman, and this version goes completely different into the mythological aspect of it, which is actually really cool. I love the Egyptian aspect of it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So, and then Oscar Isaac even said, he goes, when we were shooting this, I didn't know like if this was gonna break my career or make it, because he said he was putting himself out there and he felt so vulnerable playing all these different characters. But even at the very end, you finally get to see his third personality for like a brief second, you know? So there's so much more that can go into that. Even though we saw him at different times, we didn't know that was him, you know, or maybe it was a blackout moment that it was him. And that whole psychological aspect's really fun for me. So I hear this rumor they're coming back for more. They've been scouting in Egypt again.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, I think so too. They've been scouting in Egypt, and you know they were talking to them. The director was talking to somebody, I guess, who was out in the streets, and they were doing a scout, and he was like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you what we're doing. We're scouting for something." You know.
How do you gauge the success of something like that aside from reading the buzz online? Because now that it's streaming, like the numbers are so on lockdown. Like,
I know they keep them home, but I mean it's still click based. They can still see the numbers, how many times it's been clicked on.
Yeah.
They also look at how many new subscriptions they get when a show drops. That's a big thing for them. But to me, that doesn't really work that well, because if you think about it, you have a built-in audience, and once you have so many people in the system, it's hard to get more people in it.
Right.
And people are sharing passwords and all that. But to me, it's just keep your people happy. And we don't do that. But keep your people happy. And then give them great content, and they'll stay and keep paying you that $4.99 or was it $8.49 a month?
It's simple. Just give us great content. That's all we want.
$8.99. We talked about this before. What, $8.99 and like $11 or something like that. They're doing ad tier 2.
Just don't give me the freaking ads, man. Like I'll pay you as much money as you want. Just I don't want to have commercials in my life anymore.
I know, but look at what happened on Netflix though. And of course, they're going to make a lot of ad revenue doing this. But a lot of people actually switched to the cheaper ad tier once it came available that were already members. A lot of people. And so they're losing money right there, because now people are paying half amount, because it's like $16 a month. They're going down to like $8. So they're losing that money. But hopefully, ideally, they will make that up in the ad revenue. But how much more are they going to make up? That's the question. You know, is it going to be a good trade-off? I don't know. It's a lot of people will do that for a break. They don't want to spend $18 a month or something like this. A lot of money.
Well, I mean, the problem is because you have Disney Plus, you have Hulu, you have Apple TV, you have Netflix. I mean, you're paying for all of them. You might as well just get DirecTV and have every friggin' channel. But guess what? Then you still don't get any of the original content. So you're kind of up against the wall. Like,
well, I think we just remember the good old days of the beginning of Netflix, right?
Yeah, how it used to be. Get those DVDs in the mail. I remember when streaming became available, I was like, immediately, I'm like, this is what I want. I don't want to wait for that disc to come in the mail. I don't want to return it. I got to have that slip. I put it back in, pop in the mailbox, good to go. But like, still, the instant.
Yeah, but that's all fine. That was before original programming. Now they all have their own original shows. You can only watch certain shows on Hulu. You can only watch certain shows on Netflix. You can only watch certain shows on Disney Plus. So if you like, only Murders in the Building, you have to have Hulu. And if you like all this Marvel stuff, you have to have Disney Plus. If you like the morning show, you have to have Apple TV and Ted Lasso. Right. Like, I mean, the way that it's structured now, you can't, because they're all different entities. So you're paying 4 or 5 different streaming services every month. It costs a lot of money.
Jacob, right on, man. Still have the DVD subscription. Yeah, this guy knows how to do it.
I didn't know
I didn't even know that was the thing
Jake does.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jacob will be here with us tomorrow too, by the way. So we'll have to ask him about that some more tomorrow. I didn't know it still existed. Speaking of Disney Plus, I want to talk about Jeremy Renner a little bit. We're going to talk about Hawkeye himself. This kind of came out where he got into an accident. He was run over by a snowplow, which is insane. It's apparently by his home. He was helping out his neighbor, and this accident happened. And the idea of it blows my mind. I mean, I grew up in Michigan. I know how dangerous a snowplow can be, but I can't imagine being run over by one. But here's the story.
Renner was moving snow from his driveway so that his family members could depart his Nevada residence after they celebrated the holidays together. He was also helping clear a neighbor's driveway. The neighbor of Renner said that the plowing machine accidentally ran over one of Renner's legs. Before paramedics arrived, the neighbor, who's a doctor, put a tourniquet on Renner's leg as he was losing a lot of blood. We can confirm that Jeremy has suffered blunt chest trauma and orthopedic injuries and has undergone surgery today, January 2nd, 2023. His rep said in a statement to Deadline. He has returned from surgery and remains in the intensive care unit in critical but stable condition.
Yeah, I can't imagine being run over by a snowplow. And he's just trying to do a good thing. And they said that he always tries to help people, which is amazing. You know, it's a great thing to be a person like that. I always try if I can to help people out. But the fact that you're dealing with this massive storm, which is when it happened, and you're plowing somebody out, and they're saying that one of the things I read about this too is that snowplow shouldn't have been able to run him over. So there might be actually a murder case against the company that makes the snowplow. That's something that came out. Well, not murder, but you know, if he would have died, I guess. But
yeah, some kind of negligence.
Yeah, negligence. Yeah, I jumped the gun on that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it could have been. But that's the thing. They're saying that they're already looking into it as foul play, and they're worried that something happened with this that shouldn't happen. But it could have just been a random thing. You think about these massive storms, how cold it is. Something could have happened to machinery. But it's good to hear that he went through surgery. They said he's talking, he's responding. He actually, before we went live, I saw that he made a statement actually about what happened. We'll pull it up here in a second. But we hope that he gets better fast. You know, Hawkeye, not one of my favorite Avengers, but a great actor and a great performer.
Rude.
Is it the time to say that, Brian?
Rude.
He's great.
Brian's throwing all the shade today.
I'm saying he's a great actor. I love his performance. I'm just saying that character is weak sauce in the universe. That's all I'm saying. And I'm really sad to hear this happen because I can't even imagine what he went through.
Superpowers and he only shoots arrows. That's what you're sore about. Like, leave it alone. That should make him better because he's just a human.
It should. I mean, I love Batman, but Batman kicks ass and he just shoots arrows from a distance. They made him look better in the Hawkeye series. Actually, he had some cooler arrows. And he was much more badass, which I like.
Do you have his Instagram post pulled up there, Brian? I mean, I don't want to get too far into this before we at least say that the guy, you know, posted a picture of himself like he's beat up. What did he say?
I was gonna pull it up right now. I didn't have a chance to. How about you tell me what you think about this, Mike? Do you like Jeremy Renner?
You know, I am happy with a guy that brings out his own 14,000-pound snowcat to help a neighbor out of the snow. So I wish him all the best with his recuperation. I was happy to see between the time when you texted me with the link to hop in here and the time we started the show that we got a chance to see him posting on Instagram. So that says that he's up and around to some degree. So that gives us a lot more hope for his recuperation. What I was gonna say is I think that I have strong feelings about Jeremy Renner in this capacity, and I was thinking about it. Like he's the family man that we see in the Avengers. Nobody else is there hanging out with their wife, with their kids. I mean, Tony Stark to some degree, but that's not his focus. Hawkeye is about that life though. So I think maybe it affects us a little bit more strongly. I don't think it can. I think you guys can tell me if you felt the same way. Immediately my mind goes to Anton Yelchin, right?
Yeah.
That's right, Jacob.
What Jacob said.
Me and Jacob are on the same wavelength.
There you go. Thank you, Jacob.
Before we dive in further, I want to say what he did say. He said, "Thank you all for your kind words. I'm too messed up now to type, but I send love to you all."
With a picture of his face, right? So we got to see him. Gave us a little smile, at least. A
little smile. Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty sad. I'll pull that picture up here in a second too. I just can't even imagine what he's gone through. And maybe I shouldn't have said weak sauce, but
you're talking about the character. He's a great actor, and we all, of course, wish him the best, man.
Yeah, we do. You know, I want him to get well. Sabrina, what do you think about him? Do you like Jeremy Renner?
I do like Jeremy Renner. I think he's a great actor. I think his character is awesome because he is not a superhero. He doesn't have supernatural talent or supernatural abilities. He is just a regular person who is super badass and will hit you from 3,000 miles away with a fucking arrow right between your eyes if he wants to. So weak sauce, I don't think so. Also, as a person, he seems like a really nice fucking dude. He's helping his neighbors out. He's a family, but like he just seems like a genuinely nice person. I've never worked with him, so I can't say from experience, but just in reading this, it seems like he's a genuinely nice person. One of the neighbors said that he's always helping other neighbors out, and just a genuinely nice fucking dude, which is really great to hear, because mostly you hear shitty stories about people in Hollywood. You don't hear about how nice everyone is. You hear about what a douchebag they are. So,
Always.
I'm 100% for him, and I really hope he gets. I mean, it's obviously a very serious injury, so there's going to be some recovery period. But I hope he makes a full recovery, and I hope to see him as Hawkeye again real soon.
Yeah, and here's that picture of him actually that he put out.
It could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. And yeah, he is very talented. He did have special ops training when he's Hawkeye. I feel like I'm going to be eating this for a while, but I I really hope he recovers fast. And I hope when I first heard about it, I thought, oh no, it sounded like, you hear about this critical condition being airlifted away, and you think, and not responding, and you think, oh, is this what's this going to mean for him, for his life, for his family, for his career? And it sounds like, he's a fighter. It sounds like he'll come back. He put that picture out there showing that, he's fighting. So
It does make you wonder though, based on what we've heard of the story thus far. Like, did he just neglect to put the snowcat in park when he popped out? Because I can understand thinking like a really incredibly heavy vehicle like that, like not thinking that that's going to roll forward, like being like, oh, it stopped. I mean, like I was saying a moment ago, Anton Yelchin had a similar scenario, and so thank goodness that Jeremy's in a better situation than he was, or like you said, it could be a mechanical malfunction, but he's going to be the only one that can tell us that story.
We're gonna have to wait to see when the actual full report comes out, when he can actually talk more, he can actually say a story, and hopefully he recovers fast and he's able to tell that story soon and get to the bottom of it. Because if it is a malfunction with the actual snowplow, like that's just, that has to be addressed right away. So I can't believe it, but we'll keep you updated when we hear more about it as the story develops. Let us know what you think, and we're going to move on to our final topic of the night. Now, this is something that, it's a show that I've been watching. I didn't get into it right away. I know Sabrina's been watching it too. I know Mike has some insight on this too, but his Dark Materials just had finale, came out before the holidays. We finished watching it, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I really think, as I was watching this show, I was really excited for this new season. And it built up and it built up and it built up to this big battle with Heaven and, everyone else going against him because they want to take down. I'm going to say one thing, though. The main guy who's not God, is not Megatron. His name's almost Megatron. But what's it called?
Metatron. Yeah. Metatron and the Authority, right? I haven't even seen season 3.
I was hoping that they would have gotten a bigger.
How did you know Metatron if you didn't see season 3?
He read the book.
Because well, I did read the book, but also I spent the pandemic doing something useful. I finished up a degree in religious history that focused on a lot of the kind of
that does not sound useful at all.
It's completely unuseful. I don't use it at all. In terms of personal edification, beautiful. I can see all kinds of really interesting things in art and history and pull them out. Specifically with these Phil Pullman books. Because he was a professor of Gnosticism and Western esotericism at like Cambridge or Oxbridge, some really massive institution over in England. So when I read that trilogy, probably, I'm trying to think, I probably would have been 15 years old, so more than 20 years ago. I think that series really kind of pushed me in that direction to question, what constitutes authority, what constitutes legitimate authority, like what's the value of a human, and what are the capabilities that we have in the world. And I think that his Dark Materials really addresses a lot of those really basic questions. So Brian, did you say that did the 3rd season start yet? I watched the first 2 seasons and I thought it was freaking great.
Yeah, it just finished actually. So we just saw the finale, and it just seemed like it was. I guess the last episode was just like, it felt like a big long epilogue, And I thought maybe we could have just maybe made that shorter and put it on the finale because there's that big epic battle, you know.
Dude, super controversial. I had no idea what they were going to do with like it's. I can't imagine a story that tells a more like I don't know, challenging narrative to general audiences, really.
And when you go into it, like if you haven't read the books, you don't really realize they're going that way. Because I had no idea. And as it kept developing, and they're like, oh, now she's Eve, and now you have Will is pretty much Adam.
Yeah.
You know,
I forgot about that.
And they're playing around with that whole breakdown of their relationship, and then they pretty much go to Eden, you know, and it's like paradise, and it's they have to be together in the paradise and be together so that they can fix the world, and it's really playing off of the authority, of course, like, you know, Adam and Eve, the serpent, you know, Eve gives into it and it destroys, you know, her life as she knew it. So they're doing the same thing here, but it's like taking down God pretty much. And they need to take God down.
Well, it's not God. It's a pretender to the throne, right?
He's not God, though. Yeah. He's not really God. He's like God, but they don't even say where God actually is anymore. Like God's gone, I guess. You know,
I think there is no God.
Do you think there's never a God then? So that feels like, to me, it seems like there was a God at one point. That's what I kind of read into it when I was watching. There was a God at one point, and now this guy was a man. And then he turned into an angel and then took over. So is he like Michael the Archangel? Did he actually take God down and he became the new God?
We can get into a talk about Gnosticism, but it will take much longer than we have in this format. If you want me to give you a real quick breakdown, and this is all very specific to what Philip Pullman wrote about and what he studies, is that existence starts as kind of an unformed void. They call it Sophia in different traditions. It's got different names in different traditions. And then there are layers of emanations, like an onion. And it's kind of like a Buddhist cosmology of different layers. But so from the human layer, there's attributes, characteristics. You've got a personal kind of God. But further up, you have a more remote, distant God without any kind of attributes at all. So I think that Philip Pullman is alluding to that more naturalistic conception of God that would exist behind something like a human institution, the magisterium in this case, right, which is an obvious reference to the church, the Catholic
100%.
Church, or just big authority institutions, people that say, okay, well, we've got a best way to live. And Philip Pullman, and part of this tradition, is like, well, you really can't prove to me that your way of life is better. It's something that I'm going to need to find out for myself. So it asks a lot of questions and really does a lot of tearing down. And I think that's why that's such a controversial kind of storyline to tell.
Yeah, and to tell in this epic kind of sci-fi way too. It's just really twisted. Like it's almost like Star Wars sometimes, but especially like Azrael's ship itself is like you haven't seen this season. I don't think it was in season 2, was it? I don't know if it was. It's like it's crazy, and he's like ripping through different dimensions.
Looks like a Star Wars ship.
It looks like he looks like he's Obi-Wan Kenobi, just taking off, you know. But he rips through different universes after he kills Raja, you know. And then he makes this rift and he opens his way up. I know, poor Roger. They go to the land of the dead, and that whole thing is very depressing. That, you know, they're playing off religion. It's like, well, you go to heaven or hell. Well, no, there is no heaven or hell. There's just this ever-long purgatory where you go into self-doubt and you lose yourself. It's like, it's really depressing. And then they save, you know, they have to go there and save them.
It's about the human faculty of imagination, right, Brian? Like they're showing you lots of colors, spaceship kind of things, just because they're trying to make the point that the world that we can inhabit is the world that we create in our minds, and that it's contingent upon us to dream our future into reality, right? And to do that collectively in a way that's inclusive and helpful to each other, rather than, you know, binding and dividing just to be whatever is efficient to your power structure.
Binding and dividing, that's no world we live in, right?
Yeah, man.
Sabrina, what do you think about the season, or the ending, I should say, or maybe even just season 3 in general, or the whole show? Like, how do you feel? What's your lasting impression after finishing the show?
Thanks for that super vague question.
I gotta love it. Give us some.
I really enjoyed the show as a whole. There were episodes that I was like, oh, that was stupid, or other episodes that I thought were really good. I really enjoyed Lin-Manuel Miranda a lot. He was one of I looked forward to seeing him. I did not like the character, her parents, both of them. I didn't really care for them. They were both giant assholes.
Yeah.
And so that was very annoying for me because I was like, this bitch, like all the time, she's lying and fucking twisting and like just manipulating. And I just was like, what a horrible, horrible person. And I also don't like that actress. We call her Muppet Face. I don't know what her real name is. Ruth Wilson. Horrible human. Horrible human being. I know someone who worked with her, and she actually is a horrible human being. So that's fun.
Maybe that's why she plays it so well. I will.
Yeah,
she
plays it so well.
She does play it really well, but she's also a See You Next Tuesday in real life. So, I mean, maybe that's where she draws from. However, like whenever I would see her face, I'd be like, oh, I just want to slap you. But I mean, that's really the effect that they're going for. And Azrael is also a prick. You know what I mean? Like it's kind, but everyone else, like all the people she meets along the way, like Yurik the bear and like Poe,
amazing.
Like I mean, everyone is so awesome. Like even when that guy Will showed up, I was like, ugh, I don't even want to care about this kid. Like it's so annoying. But now, I grew to love him as well. The last season was good. I was, really interested into where they were going. I felt like there were episodes that were kind of detached from the story itself because there were like 3 kind of stories going on at once. I don't really want to give too much away. But there was like the teacher's story, and then there was Will and Myra's story, and then there was Muppet Face and Azrael's story. And so I feel like some episodes I was much more interested than others. My dog is going nuts because fireworks are going off. Peppy! Sorry. So I overall enjoyed it. Like Brian said, the last episode does really feel more like an epilogue. And it does. It definitely tugs at the heartstrings, but it was like, I don't know if we needed like an hour-long wrap-up, like after that huge epic battle and finding out what happened there. Like it was just kind of slow, and like I feel like they could have just really made the battle part episode, like that second to last episode, longer, and then this episode shorter, and broke it into 2. I think it would have been more effective that way personally, because I don't know what I was expecting after that huge battle, but it certainly wasn't what I saw.
I know. I was like, wait, there's another episode? I remember I watched it and I thought I watched the finale, and I was like, wait, there's another episode? And it really is one drawn-out epilogue. And, of course, it felt like at the end of Lord of the Rings where you kept having more endings. That's what it kind of felt like. We're not done yet. And then, like, where are they going to end this, actually? And then when it did end, I was like, okay, then it's like, she might be back. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're not coming out with a fourth season. I can tell you that much.
No, this is it. They said they were done. That's it, and it wraps it up very nicely, like the battle itself. And then Azrael tries to become like a better person towards her, but it's too far gone at that point. You treat your daughter like shit forever, and now you can be like, it
had nothing to do with her. It only had to do with the greater good. He could care less about her.
Yep.
He could care less about her
until he knew that she was important to the greater good. He didn't care about her.
But he didn't care about her anyway. He just, if Eve was someone else and not his kid, he would have cared about them exactly the amount of same that he cared about. He could give a shit less that was his child.
There's even a moment where like he thinks she's dead, or Muppet Face, I guess, thinks that she's dead, and tells him, and then he's just like, meh. Cool.
He's like doing something, and he's like, oh,
I'm working on my ship. Don't worry about that shit.
Parents, they are like the most awful characters.
They're
like
so awful.
They really don't appear to give a shit, which is hateful. Like you clearly got this brilliant kid.
Yeah. And the CG, the computer graphics is amazing. All the different demons look so great. And then when Will has a cat, I'm like, damn, he gets a cat? I would be pissed. Like everybody has like these cool animals, and I get a cat. Okay.
I haven't even seen any of it, man. I was really interested to see how they were going to bring season 3 into reality, because like
you gotta watch
it begins off with these crazy animals with their wheels. Like I'm not going to buy that when you CG that shit. And then the end, like how do you even like there's the big battle, but then like you guys are saying, they pretty much just devolve into into symbols of humanity. Like it reveals the fact that it's been a meta narrative all along. Like so, I enjoy that kind of trippy shit. I mean, She-Hulk was playing around with that same idea from a comedic angle.
I'll tell you what, they make those animals with the wheels. I bought it all day.
Really, that blows my mind. They must have put a lot of work into that.
It really they were gorgeous. It looked great. The wheels were sea pods that they would like put on their feet and kind of skate around in. It was really they did a really good job with that.
Yeah, they kind of look like Snuffleupagus to me. Like Snuffleupagus.
They did look like Snuffleupagus.
That's exactly how they describe them in the novels. But I remember reading the novels 20 years ago and trying to visualize this in my head and being like, man, this is crazy. When they do that at the TV adaptation of this shit, how are they gonna make this believable at all?
They did a good job.
Yeah, Sabrina, that's great. I'm so super happy they pulled it off.
And the way that they're showing their language is really kind of cool too. It shows it in their language and it kind of converts it to English, and then the character,
there's subtitles when they talk.
Yeah,
because they talk. Obviously,
and the teacher ends up being the serpent, who I call Mrs. Ferguson, my high school drama teacher.
Our high school drama teacher.
Yeah, Mike knows her very well. You hers as well. I showed Sabrina a picture, and she was like, "That doesn't look like her." I'm like, "Yeah, it does. That's Mrs. Ferguson all day. Miss Ferguson trying to save the world."
You know who he's talking about, Mike? He's talking about the teacher from second season.
Teacher.
Yeah,
totally. Miss Ferguson. Yeah, all day.
Miss Ferguson, the curly hair.
She does not look like Mrs. Ferguson.
Mrs. Ferguson.
I saw that picture. You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie.
We saw her in life. We saw her beautiful face in real life, and how she transmitted the love of drama and artistic expression.
She looks more like Susan Sarandon to me.
Here's a shout out to Mrs. Ferguson.
A shout out to Mrs. Ferguson, right on.
All right. Well, I love it. Everyone, if you haven't seen his Dark Materials, check it out. My brother Kyle told me to watch it. And I was like, I got into it, and Sabrina loved it. I loved it. Mike, you have to watch the last season. You have to check it out.
Yeah, I'm really excited. That's very next on the queue.
They do a great job. It's my one critique though is like that last episode could have been wrapped into the episode before. But I guess after this whole long epic show, you want to give it a final ending of all this closure. But I was a little bored in the last episode. But
I'm happy. Like it was weird. It was weird in the book. Like the whole rest they did a really truthful adaptation of the book. They hit every beat they were doing it. So I'm not surprised that it ended weirdly, because the book is weird.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us here on Kruse Control. We got to go. It's at that time. This is actually the first time we've done a podcast where we're at an hour. We're getting out of here. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Sabrina, thank you for being here as always. Mike, thanks for coming on the program. We really appreciate having you for the first time.
It's an honor, Mike. Moose. Yeah, pleasure, Sabrina. Truly, it was a good time.
We'll have you again.
Gotta come back.
Sometime. Yeah, we'll have you back whenever you're available. So happy you were here. It's been a lot of fun talking about all this. A lot of great subjects. We have more to talk about tomorrow as well. Tomorrow we'll be back at the same time, 6:30 p.m., 9:30 Eastern, Mountain, 8:30, as you will. And Jacob Brown will be here with us. And we can't wait to have Jacob on the show for the first time.
Yeah, shout out to Jacob. Thanks for the comments, bud.
Yeah, Jacob, we can't wait to talk to you tomorrow, and we'll talk to you about those Netflix DVDs tomorrow as well. But anyways, thank you everybody for being here. We appreciate you as always. Thank you for checking out Kruse Control. This is the first episode of a new year, of a new show. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.